More bull feces now regarding so-called lockdown offences by our very own government. This time, Beergate as opposed to Partygate, as leggy Angela Raynor and miserable fucktard Keir Starmer have now been issued with their own questionnaires from Durham Constabulary over their alleged rule breaking. Starmer was caught on camera drinking a beer in an MP's office after a day of campaigning for the local elections in Durham in April 2021, an event that Raynor was said to have also been at. At the time of the gathering, non-essential retail and outdoor venues including pub gardens were open, but social distancing rules, which included a ban on indoor mixing between households, remained in place. And you know what I think about those rules. But Labour has argued that food was consumed between work events, meaning it was within the rules. Earlier in May, Durham Constabulary said they had reversed their decision to not look into the so-called offences after receiving what they've called significant new information. Labour sources are confident they can prove the Durham event was work-related, and those that were present. Labour sources are confident that they can prove the Durham event was work-related and that those present were taking a break to eat while working late on preparations for the Hartlepool by-election. Of course, any chance to one-up the opposition will be taken, and since Boris refused to step down if found that he had breached the rules, and he even went on to change the ministerial code to protect him, both Raynor and Starmer have allegedly said that they will step down if found to have breached the rules. Of course, I'll believe that when I see it. But be assured that action won't make me change my mind about Labour or Boris and his cohorts. In fact, speaking of Boris, his very own standards advisor has said there is a legitimate question over whether the Prime Minister broke the ministerial code after getting fined for Partygate. Lord, I don't even know how to pronounce it, said he repeatedly told the PM's team to be ready to explain if his actions stuck within the rules, even if he thought there was no breach. But he said the advice had not been heeded, calling on Mr Johnson to set out his case to the public. However, Bojo says being fined by the police doesn't break the ministerial code, and even if it did, it certainly doesn't now. Does it, Boris? Johnson said he had no intent to break the regulations and that he had been fully accountable to Parliament and the British people. It's another joke for you there. The ministerial code outlines the rules government ministers must follow when in office, including the overarching duty on them to comply with the law. If the code is broken, the convention in Westminster is for a minister to resign, or rather, it was. Liberal Democrat MP Wendy Chamberlain said it showed the Prime Minister's own ethics advisor no longer trusts him to tell the truth and that Mr Johnson was not fit to hold public office. A total of 126 fines were handed out to 83 people as a result of the force's investigation into 12 events during the pandemic. And a wider report by senior civil servant Sue Gray revealed a drunken party culture within Number 10, whilst the rest of the country was ordered to stay at home. In his annual report on ministers' interests, Lord Geddygate, said questions around Mr Johnson's behaviour had led to an impression the Prime Minister may be unwilling to have his own conduct judged against the ministerial code. The Standard Advisor said it would be especially difficult to inspire that trust in the ministerial code if any Prime Minister whose code it is declines to refer to it. He said when it came to the Partygate fine, a legitimate question has arisen as to whether those facts alone might have constituted a breach of the overarching duty within the ministerial code of complying with the law. If the PM thought there was no breach, he should respond accordingly, setting out his case in public. And my opinion on this hasn't changed one bit. I still think this is a complete waste of time and money, and rather than bitching about who broke the rules and who didn't, let's get back to police dealing with who broke the law. COVID regulations have been pretty much outed as being unlawful anyway. The majority of COVID penalty notices were dismissed upon appeal, proving that no one from government or the justice system had a single clue about what they were enforcing. And what astonishes me is that none of them stopped to think about our human rights with these regulations and rules before simply rubbing their hands together and thinking about how they can abuse them. If anything, as I've said previously, anyone issued with a fixed penalty notice should be paid back. All mention on any records should be wiped, and this investigation should be scrapped. Those in positions of power have proven what they think of the rest of us. They have designed and built their own coffins for their careers. Well, to rational thinking people they have anyway, but of course there will be plenty out there who still believe all the bullcrap spewed over the past 2 year period, or over that 2 year period. But should we be enforcing actions based on people's feelings rather than the actual law? I'm just glad I don't bother with politics. I simply use my own morality to navigate through life rather than aligning with a gang of crooks whose only goal it is to subjugate their followers for their own gain.